So the other day I received an alarming message from a buyer, and I thought I would share this particular situation with you. I've never seen anything like this before. So without any further ado, let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin' Ain't Easy. And this particular situation I'm going to tell you about, it's something that I've never seen before. I probably will never see it again. Chances are none of you will ever see it. I just want to show you guys what some buyers are capable of. Now, before I get into the situation, I just want to say that I've done a lot of thinking lately, and I know that I've reported a lot of instances like this to you guys, and maybe I need to scale it back a little bit because I don't want this channel to seem like all I do is get on here and complain, because I'm really not complaining. I'm just reporting to you, like I promised you guys I would, the things that I deal with and come across on my day-to-day adventures on eBay. But anyone who's watching would think that all I do is run into trouble and I don't really have any success. And really, nothing could be further from the truth. But I need to do a better job of mixing in more positivity than a lot of this. Now, I kind of debated on doing this video, but I thought it was too good to just throw under the rug. And at least I'll share this with you. But in the future, it's going to have to be pretty extreme, I think, because look, I don't want you guys to be turned off by the fact that there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of negativity that, us sellers can come across. And, the way I handle things may be entirely different than how you handle things. And a lot of the times I handle things the way I do because of this channel and wanting to maybe share content with you guys. And because of that, I go into a particular situation a little differently than I would have if I didn't have a YouTube channel. Now, with that said, I'll get into the situation. The other day I was doing some listing, and out of the blue, I get this message from this particular buyer. And it says, "Your lame excuse for not wanting to deal with me did not go unnoticed. How do you like Designer Duds 123's review? Terrible seller to deal with. Lousy, lousy, lousy. Stay away. Sounds pretty negative to me. Wonder how I know this. By the way, your BU 300CL, that's a part for a laser printer. It arrived Monday, February 21st. Cheers to you, axe holes." Now, it was kind of alarming to receive that kind of a message. And I'm like, wait, I don't understand what's going on here. What negative feedback? So I went and checked, and wouldn't you know it, there is a negative feedback from this buyer by the name of Designer Duds 123. So I thought, well, why would this person send me this message? So I did what most of you wouldn't do. And instead of just kind of shrugging it off and keep moving on, I went in and did some investigation. And it turns out that this FUBAR double D, or FUBARD, whatever you want to call this buyer, had received a offer to watcher on this very same item, this Brother BU 300CL. And they sent me a message after receiving the offer and asked me if I do $39.99 shipping, including shipping. That's including the cost of shipping all the way to the East Coast to New York. And I replied back, I said, I can't do it that cheap. It's going to cost me 20-something bucks. It's a fairly large box just to ship this item to you. I just can't do that. And he said, well, what about $50? One thing to keep in mind, it's like a $79 item is what I had it priced as, open box. I said, I can go down to as low as $50 plus the cost of shipping. So he told me that sounded fair. And I told him, I said, I'm going to have to, because I've already sent an offer to you, I'm going to have to just go in and adjust the price on this thing. And then once I'm done, you're going to be able to buy it at this price. But at the time, I was driving from California back to here. And I told him I'm driving and I don't know what time I'm going to be back home. And so he said, sounds good, is what he replied. And no more than like 2 hours later, he said, hey, are you still there? Of course, I didn't see it. I was driving. And then he sends another message a couple hours after that before I got home. And I was like, what's going on with this guy? But nonetheless, didn't seem quite right. This person seemed a bit off, just the way they were talking with me. There must have been a few other messages thrown in there saying, hey, you can send me an invoice without me buying it through eBay, which I've never heard of. And of course, I wasn't going to go into that and entertain that. So when I got home, I adjusted the listing and sent him a message saying, hey, I've adjusted the listing. It was probably about 7 o'clock at night, Pacific time, on a Sunday. I didn't know if he'd see the message that time of night or even get a chance to buy the item. But to me, I lowered the price like I said I would. When I was done with that, I was talking to Jenna, and she didn't like the way this guy sounded, the number of messages that this guy sent. And she said, I don't really think you should sell this item to this person. It just doesn't seem right. And I went and looked at the feedback left for others like I usually do, but I really didn't do it in this case because, again, I was in the middle of traveling and got home and I was pretty tired. Well, I looked at it, and it showed that within the last, I'd say, number of months, 6 months, he's left 9 negative feedbacks for sellers. Now, that kind of threw off major red flags for me. And I didn't like that at all because I don't like how buyers treat sellers. If it's warranted, certainly, that's what the feedback system's for. But if you're constantly leaving negative feedbacks, there's something not right here. And if I'm going to give you a deal, I don't want to take a chance on maybe you not liking whatever, even though there's nothing wrong with the item. So I said, you know what? I'm going to probably reach out to him in the morning. It's late. Probably not going to see a message from me anyway. So I'll just let him know that I'm not going to sell it. But what I did, we decided we're at least going to block him because we just didn't want to deal with it. So we put him on the block list. So I wake up the following morning, before I had a chance to go and send him a message, I get this message that says, why did you block me? What's wrong with my account? Blah, blah, blah. So I let him know. I said, we've decided not to sell it to you, to go through with the transaction. I let him know my concerns about the number of feedbacks that he's left. And I said, I just didn't want to take a chance to have to deal with a problem, a potential problem. Even though I know there's nothing wrong with my item, I just didn't want to deal with this issue. So I wished him well, but I told him I wasn't going to be able to sell him the item. Now, I didn't receive any reply from him at all. And what I failed to do, and I forgot to do, is I forgot to adjust the price of that item back to $79.99. So I went on about my business. A couple days later, sold that item, shipped it off, and it was no issue at all. And of course, I didn't really spend a lot of time looking at where I was shipping it to, and all was good. That was back in mid-February when I sold that item. And so this buyer, this designer Duds 123, was the one who bought the item from me. And they waited until the 31st of March to leave me a negative feedback saying that I'm a terrible seller to deal with, lousy, 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 stay away. Now, mind you, they never reported any problems with this item. I never had any messages from this buyer at any point in the transaction. And then they, out of the blue, leave this negative feedback just moments, like minutes, before this FUBAR Double D sends me this message about my lame excuse for not wanting to deal with him did not go unnoticed. So I said, wait, hold on, something's wrong here. I remember this guy gave me his address. I went and looked at this designer Duds 123. Wouldn't you know it? Not only does this person live in the same city, but this person lives on the same street, and the street addresses are like 1 or 2 houses apart. That's how close the addresses are. So what it tells me is he went to his neighbor who happened to have an eBay account, had them buy it on his behalf, had it shipped to their house, and then they allowed him, or they listed negative feedback on his behalf over a full month later. That was more in retaliation because he sends this message trying to rub it in my face that, you got negative feedback, and how do I know? And by the way, this item arrived on the 21st of February. Well, of course, how would he know unless he was part of the whole thing? So, it's one of those things where the buyer circumvented, or this FUBAR Double D circumvented the eBay block buyer policy, and he was able to rub my nose in the fact that he was able to get this item despite my efforts. And I was like, really, wow, I can't believe this happened. So, of course, I did take a moment to contact eBay. Of course, I did put a rebuttal in there to let everyone know that this is not a legitimate negative feedback, because I didn't want potential buyers to get turned off by such a ridiculous negative feedback. So I went and used the tool online to submit the request for feedback removal. And of course, within 12 hours, eBay rubber stamped it, and with the generic message that, we encourage buyers to leave their honest feedback, blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, I had another reason to call eBay. It was about a problem with a return. I was trying to refund money and it wasn't going through. And I think I talked to you guys about that on the live stream on Friday. But I contacted someone at eBay and they put me over to escalations, and that person said, look, I understand what you're saying. I'm going to walk this over and somebody will review it and get back to you. But we understand what's going on here, and this should never have happened, at least in their opinion. So I wasn't hopeful. I said, you know what? I did my due diligence. I'm not going to spend any more time on this. I have my rebuttal underneath their negative feedback, and I'm just going to continue doing my thing, and which is what I was doing this evening. And wouldn't you know, I get an email from eBay, and the first word that came up on the email was congratulations. And ultimately, it was a message saying, hey, we reviewed it, and we've decided to remove this negative feedback because of the actions of the buyer. Now, it is against eBay's terms to circumvent the block buyer process. And I don't think this is going to ever happen to me again. And I don't know if it's ever happened to any of you. Of course, I want to hear your comments. Put your comments down below. But I just thought it was just wild that someone would hold on to this for so long. It's middle of February is when I had this interaction with Fubar Double D. And for him to wait to the end of March to say, haha, of course, there's never an issue with the item. There was never a problem with the item. He got the item. He got it pretty much at his price. He was happy, and he wanted to shove my face in that virtual doo-doo. And you know what? It sucked for a moment. It really did. And it really sucked more, not because I was disappointed in this buyer. I know there's people like this all over the place, but I was more disappointed in eBay, just basically saying, nope, we allow buyers to make comments all the time, and we respect their opinion and blah, 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 when this was nothing at all like that. I didn't receive a single message from the actual buyer saying there's a problem. And anybody who would take 5 minutes to look at this would see it is what it was. And that's just a bogus retaliatory feedback because I happen to hurt someone's feelings. So can't really stop it when people try to circumvent the eBay block buyer system. Apparently, all you have to do is contact your buddy, your family member, your neighbor, or a duplicate account and just buy away. And it's up to the seller to defend themselves. So thankfully, negative feedback doesn't really matter as much anymore. Put a nice little rebuttal underneath it, move on. But I got it resolved. It took about 10, 15 minutes to do it. And personally, again, sales is about how people perceive you. And every negative comment that you have in your profile is just one extra doubt that a customer is going to have about you because they don't know you. And they're trying to protect themselves, and they want to buy an item that is what is described. They want it in a timely manner, and they don't want to have any issues with the seller. And if you sort of meet that criteria in their mind when they're buying your item, they're going to buy your item. But if you have doubts in their mind, which is negative feedback, along the way, that could be a problem. And so that's why it's important to me. May not be important to you, and you might be killing it. I've seen accounts out there that absolutely kill it with a lot of negative feedbacks. And maybe you do good and don't have any negative feedbacks, and it still doesn't bother you. That's fine as well. Again, this is the beautiful thing about eBay. We can all handle our accounts the way we want to. As long as you're paying your bills, as long as you're doing what you want to do with your time, as long as I'm doing the same, hey, it's all good. I'm giving you ideas. I'm sharing my experiences with you. You're killing it or you're not. Hopefully, at some point, I can share some ideas that's going to help you do even better than what you're doing right now. I mean, otherwise, there's really no purpose for you watching my channel. So please comment down below, share any experiences you've had. If anything similar to this, I'd like to hear about it. While you're at it, hit that like button if you enjoyed this content. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell, because lately I've just enjoyed hitting that live stream button and notifying you guys maybe same day sometimes. And I'd like for you to be notified and to be part of it when that happens. So guys, again, bad buyers, I tell you about them a lot, and I probably am not going to gravitate towards telling you about a whole lot more of them, maybe once in a while. But these bad buyers, they're going to happen. And it's all just yet another example of how flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will talk to you very soon.